What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video we're going to be looking at Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now I know that for most audiences it's been out for weeks. New South Wales was still in lockdown, parts of New South Wales still are, but my local government area came out and we got free to go back to the cinema, and the release date for Shang-Chi in New South Wales was going to be the 16th anyway, once it was sort of found that we were going to be in lockdown when it was originally going to release on the 3rd? I know it was a small one-digit number. 3rd. So yeah, we had to wait till like the 16th, 17th sort of thing. But so, I went and watched it sort of as of filming, two days ago, sounds right, with a couple of friends of mine. It was really good. I haven't seen them in a while, and not just because of lockdown, so it was really good to catch up with them again. But yeah, so I went and saw it, and you know, now here I am, giving you guys my review of the film. Now, given that for most locations it has been out for 2 weeks now, there's going to be spoilers and I'm not sorry about that. So yeah, let me get into it. I don't actually have my usual script written in front of me. Honestly, it was just sort of a drawer hanging open, catching the corner of my eye. It was annoying me. Normally I would have, you know, like the casting and the directing and the cinematography and the music, you know, the soundtrack and all that sort of stuff, and get them all a rating, and then we look at, you know, Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. I haven't done any of that for this, and honestly, I'm so overwhelmed with a number of other things in my life that I don't particularly care. I'm just going to give some raw thoughts about it, you know, for about 15 minutes, and then we'll part ways. So I have seen online that there are some people out there, and I don't know if it's just because they're so defiantly DC is better, or if they legitimately didn't enjoy the film. But I've seen a lot of bad press out there, a lot of like bad reviews, and saying that like this movie is like one of the worst ones DC's ever made. And then, you know, there's people clapping back. And again, same argument can be made for these people. They could just be super Marvel loyalists. You know, the kind that say that, you know, Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance was a decent movie. It wasn't, and we all know it. Just because a movie has Idris Elba in it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be a good one. But yeah, so personally, I thoroughly fucking enjoyed this film. I think the casting was excellent. I'm not a huge person as far as like Chinese Japanese, South Korean, you know, like East Asian. Like I'm not up to date with the who's who of East Asian cinema. So like, you know, I only knew Simu Liu's name because he'd been petitioning for this role for a while. I only knew Michelle Yeoh because she's also in Guardians of the Galaxy, playing a completely separate character there. And I knew Awkwafina because she's been in other things as well. So for most of the cast, it was sort of like, I don't know who these people are. This is my introduction to them. Let's see how it goes. And the acting was beautiful. I really felt like, and like, props to the writing team as well on this. Not just the people who wrote the story, but people who actually like wrote the script. Because the motivation, like the character motivations and stuff, felt authentic. We sort of get, you know, some reminders of like, oh yeah, no, the Ten Rings has been used in the MCU before, but like this particular one was fake, and this was sort of like, you know, we were just sort of getting back into the groove because this, you know, this other thing happened where our leader's wife was murdered by like a rival gang, because he decided that after 1,000 years of being a warmongering dictator that he'd settle down and have a family, and they're like, well, let's go and, you know, exact revenge for the fact that they've, you know, been, you know, bitter rivals with us for a while. So yeah, so like the villain's motivation was kind of cool. What else can I talk about? Because honestly, this film was amazing. I really enjoyed the like who's who of Asian mythological creatures in Ta Lo. Obviously there's the Great Protector Dragon, which is a big one, but then you've also got the vermilion birds. In Japan they're Suzaku. I can't remember the name of the vermilion bird in China, but it's the vermilion bird of the south. So there's like, you know, Asian phoenixes flying around. There was Morris himself is based off, so there's 4 like divine beasts, and then there's 4 like they each have like an equal opposite sort of thing, and Morris and his whole species sort of thing is based off of one of those, and they're sort of like a creature of like primordial chaos sort of thing. But it was really cool to see them. There was obviously the Foo Dogs, which is like the big liony things. I'm certain, I'm almost 100% certain that the scaly sort of dragon-headed horse thing with the antlers is a Keelan. Could be wrong, but that was sort of my first sort of like, oh yeah, that's that. What else was there? There were a couple of other creatures, and I was like, oh yeah, that's that, and that's that, and I was able to sort of, you know my way around the animals, as if I'd, you know, been going along with Newt Scamander on his on his trip to China, you know, I knew all those Fantastic Beasts and where to find them online. But no, so that was really cool. The fact that the comic accurate suit is made of dragon scale. I was like, ooh, is Tarlo, and I really hope that this is the case, but is Tarlo one of the 7 cities of heaven in the MCU? Like, you know, is Kunlun the next mountain over sort of deal? That'd be really cool, especially since Iron Fist has to fight a dragon in order to get the Iron Fist. He's also very much a kung fu character. In the Netflix show, he fights the Hand, which is a ninja clan. The Ten Rings had ninjas, so I can see the Ten Rings and like the Hand making a deal and just sharing ninjas in the MCU. I think that'd be really cool to see if that comes to fruition. I really hope so. And I know this is a very controversial opinion, but I actually enjoyed the Iron Fist series, and it might just be because as far as Marvel characters go, I've had the least exposure to Danny Rand from the comics, so maybe I didn't fully understand what his character was supposed to be like. But at the same time, I am also aware that that television show was an adaptation meant to be trying to fit into the MCU, so a little bit of creative license is also going to have been taken there. So, but I enjoyed it. But we're not talking about Iron Fist, we're talking about Shang-Chi. But yeah, no, the fact that it was made out of dragon scale I thought was really cool. What else is there? Because I mean, that's basically the main plot. He starts out as a valet driver in San Francisco, which, especially with Sony wanting to join in the whole MCU thing, assuming that we say anything that Sony makes is part of the MCU, that puts Venom, Ant-Man, and Shang-Chi on the West Coast now. Iron Man used to be there, which would have given us some form of a lineup for a West Coast Avengers, which could have been really cool to see. But, you know, we'll have to see what the future holds with the MCU, what the next Avengers threat is going to be and how that all plays out. But yeah, no, so I you know, starting out there, then going to Macau to find his sister. During that, they get sort of ambushed by the ninjas of the Ten Rings. There's a big fight. Wenwu, our true MCU Mandarin, steps in, explains how, you know, at least from his perspective, the name of Mandarin, even though Mandarin is the name of one of the dialects of Chinese, he saw it more as, you know, orange chicken, which is kind of funny. We get to sort of see, you know, like we get some flashbacks and stuff of Shang-Chi's childhood sort of all through that, and sort of how when we would come to power, why he'd step down because of, you know, his wife etc., etc. And then we really just sort of shift gears, and we have to beat him here so that we can stop him from burning it all down, because that's where our mother's from, so that means that's where we're from, and so it's part of our heritage, and he just wants to go in there and burn it all down because she's no longer alive. And then, yeah, we end up getting Shang-Chi learning how to airbend, which is really cool. And then his dad, like, Hadoukens him into the water. He meets the Great Protector Dragon, and then rides it into battle against a Lovecraftian bat creature that eats your soul. So, you know, some kaiju action at the end is kind of cool as well. And then we sort of finish up with a mid-credit scene is where he sort of is informally welcomed to the Avengers, and in the post-credit scene we see that instead of dismantling the Ten Rings, Xialing is now running it as a more equal opportunity place of employment from when she was a child, when it was only men being trained as ninjas, and especially since this is taking place after Endgame, and it's definitely taking place after Black Widow, I can't help but notice that in Macau there was a Black Widow fighter in one of the cages fighting an extremist soldier, which is kind of cool that they're both still out there. Then having women learning how to fight for the Ten Rings just feels like she's like, yeah, no, we're just going to start up a 21st century equal opportunity, you know, Chinese run Red Room, and we're going to have women warriors similar to Black Widows and male warriors similar to like the Winter Soldier program, but it's run out of East Asia instead of, you know, Eastern Europe. So, but it's still kind of cool to think. And then the title card at the end saying that they will return, like the Ten Rings will return, was kind of cool as well. The special effect in this was phenomenal. I think it turned out that the compound scenes, like all the scenes of the Ten Rings compound, that was filmed in Sydney, I'm pretty sure, or it might have been the Tarlo bits. Actually, now I think about it, it might have been Tarlo. Was filmed in Sydney. Which means, yeah, all of the magic creatures, 100%, are just like, those aren't CGI, those exist in Australia, you know? Like that's how deadly our creatures are. We have faceless pig chickens that are embodiments of primordial chaos, just roaming around. What do you think we serve at KFC? Obviously, I'm joking, but like, I still thought it was really cool that those particular scenes were filmed in Australia. And I also think it's really cool because usually with these sorts of films, there's a company in Melbourne, and I think it might be the same company, just with an office in Sydney. They do some of the compositing CG work on these films, and I think that that's really cool. So yeah, I don't know, between this one and Black Widow having an Australian director, I'm kind of loving the sort of Australian movement in the MCU at the moment as well. But yeah, those are sort of my thoughts on Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now then, I am going to leave in the description down below the Easter egg breakdown done by NewRockstars. Obviously a far more popular channel than my own, but they're going to sort of point out all of the references and stuff in that video. They've also got other ones specifically for the post-credit scenes that you can watch while you're over there, as well as a whole bunch of theories of how things might tie into the MCU, especially looking forward into the future. So I'll leave the link to the Easter egg breakdown below, but really I'm recommending that you just check out any of their videos that they've put out about this film, about any film really. Eric Voss is the real one. He's the OG. But we're going to finish off with the questions for myself. Question number 16. So my storytime video had question 15, which is what worries me the most about the future. This question is what excites me most about the future. Why does it excite me and how does it impact me now? Studying in afters. Hands down, the single most exciting thing coming within the next 6 months. Within the next 3 months even. Because within the next 3 months, I'll actually find out if I'm going to be able to go. I'm manifesting it so hard. But yeah, I really hope I get in. I'm super excited to start actively putting some miles on my goal of being a film director. I'm really grateful that this year in particular, even though Australia's just been non-consensually rammed with COVID, even amidst all of that, I still had the opportunity that I'm now be able to seize to go and do this come up when it hasn't for the last 10 years. So this is really exciting to me. How it impacts me now, because why does it excite me? I have wanted to go to afters since 2013, 2014 sort of area, so the better part of the last decade. Even went to an open day in 2015, and then this year was part of one of their productions, able to actually talk to people within the admissions team about when the open day that year was going to be, when applications were going to open, all that sort of stuff. So I was actually able to get a bit of a head start on all of that, which is really cool. And that's why it excites me. It's because this is actually finally just aligned nicely where I can just reach straight in and grab it, and there's not really anything hindering me. but it impacts me now because it's going to involve a move, and that means having the money to be able to do that, while also having to look for places, debating whether or not my anxiety is enough to sort of, what's the word? I'm completely blanking on the word. But like, I have this like thing of like a little bit of anxiety about share housing. I'm not 100% on the idea, but at the same time, I know it's going to be a lot cheaper if I do it that way. It's also going to mean that I have the ability to make friends with the people in whatever share house situation I end up in. So like that on one hand could be really cool. So I've got to sort of look into that sort of thing if I'm trying to see what sort of financial situation I can sort out for myself so I can actually afford to live in Sydney, because that's a nightmare and a half. And then sort of pretty much as soon as I find out whether or not I'm going or not, all of the stuff in my room is going to start getting packed up. And I know that like 3 weeks ago, I literally did a spring cleaning video where I swapped out all of my, all of my winter clothes for my summer ones and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's exciting, it's nerve-wracking, it's something that I need. I'm ready to move on, because while I love and appreciate the friends that I've got here, I've sort of reached the maximum that I can be in this region, and I really just need to go to where there's more opportunity for personal growth, for career growth, and at the moment that's Sydney. I'm not huge on moving to Sydney at all. I'd much prefer to go to Brisbane, but the fact remains that's where Afters is, and therefore that's where the opportunity is. So that's where we're going. So that's what excites me about the future and why. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. If you enjoyed this one, please give me a thumbs up. Again, a link to the Easter egg breakdown by NewRockstar in the description, along with the question of the day. Please answer that in the comment section down below. And until next time, guys, keep your head screwed on.